Todas estas acusaciones hicieron que Obama dijera el otro día en un podcast que en este momento la democracia está siendo amenazada.
Sí, no, él dice eso todo el tiempo. Él es quien lo amenazó espiando mi campaña. Él lo empezó. Obama espió mi campaña y lo hizo sabiendo que era ilegal. Sabía que era ilegal, pero comenzó todo. Y había mucha gente deshonesta y sospecho que serán atrapados.
Bueno, señores, tenemos en este momento una información de última hora. El presidente va a invocar la ley de insurrección si estos demócratas se siguen desplegando en las calles con su protesta barata No Kings. Miren esto. El presidente Donald Trump acaba de recordarle a Antifa, a los gobernadores demócratas y alcaldes de los estados demócratas un hecho muy importante. No lo olviden, yo soy el presidente de los Estados Unidos. Puedo usar la ley de insurrección. Casi el 50% de los presidentes la han usado. Y ese poder es indiscutible. Constantemente me encuentro con políticos falsos. Estas ciudades tienen que ser seguras. Para las personas que se preguntan qué es la ley de insurrección, vamos a leerla. La ley de insurrección autoriza al presidente a desplegar fuerzas militares dentro de los Estados Unidos para reprimir una rebelión o para calmar una rebelión o violencia interna. Esta ley implementa la facultad del Congreso concedida por la Constitución de estipular el llamamiento de la milicia para ejecutar las leyes de la Unión, reprimir insurrectos y repeler invasiones. Donald Trump dijo lo siguiente: Obama es quien amenazó la democracia al espiar mi campaña presidencial. Él inició todo. Obama espió mi campaña y lo hizo a sabiendas que era totalmente ilegal. También el presidente dijo en esta entrevista con María Bartiromo, el presidente acaba de revelar algo enorme. Podría ser $20 billones en inversiones en Estados Unidos para finales de año. Ningún país ha hecho ni de cerca eso. Biden hizo menos de $1 billón en 4 años. Vamos a ganar más de $17 billones en 8 meses. Cuando llegamos, ya habíamos ganado más de $20 billones. Una gran parte de ellos son los aranceles. Vamos a escuchar a continuación esta entrevista, la primera parte de la entrevista del presidente, donde habla con María Bartiromo, que además esta es la primera entrevista desde que se firmó el acto de paz entre Israel y Hamás, que ya vemos que aparentemente Hamás no cumplió con el acuerdo porque el día de hoy atacó a soldados israelíes que lastimosamente fallecieron 2 soldados israelíes y el gobierno de Israel respondió con fuerza. Vamos a escuchar esta entrevista. Los subtítulos en pantalla se los voy a poner un poco más lento, el video, para que puedan leer poco a poco lo que dice el presidente con María Bartiromo. Miren esto.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Morning Futures. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo. Today, President Trump, the president for peace. 9 months into his second term, the commander-in-chief is taking on the ruthless, the criminal, and the biggest terrorists of all. From narco-terrorists in Venezuela and Mexico to bullies and killers in Russia and Gaza. I met with the president this past week in his first interview since his historic peace deal in the Middle East, where he effectively ended the war in Gaza.
It started probably with Soleimani. He was a mastermind who did a lot of bad things. He's the father of the roadside bomb that would blow up, and most of the people are great patriots, are great soldiers that you see without arms, legs, and lots of problems. He was the one. That was his way of saying we don't like you too much, and affected a lot of people. That started one. But I think very big was recently with the taking out of the nuclear weapon from Iran. When we blew those beautiful B-2 bombers, when they went into Iran airspace and they came out unscathed. I mean, the whole thing was the most beautiful military operation. They flew for 37 hours. We had everything. And they went into that and they bombed the hell out of it. And when we destroyed their nuclear capability, they no longer became the bully of the Middle East. And we hit them a lot of other ways, along with it, Israel. And they no longer became the bully. And If they were, we wouldn't have been able to make the deal we just made, which is basically peace in the Middle East, beyond Gaza, peace in the Middle East. And all of those great Arab nations, I mean, you look at Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE, those three, and then you have the ones that, as you know, joined the Abraham Accords, but they were able to breathe, they were able to do what they had to do, and they've been fantastic. But if we didn't take out the nuclear, there's no way that we would have been able to do this.
And I spoke with you right after that strike on the nuclear facilities, and you were so complimentary, obviously, of our pilots.
Yeah.
But you also have relationships in the Middle East. You went to the Middle East as your first international trip as president. So was there some cajoling that you did with the leadership of Qatar and the leadership of UAE to get them to make the case to Hamas, it's over?
So I've been friendly with them for years, and actually I became somewhat friendly during my first term, but I was friendly with some of them before I was a politician. And, you know, it's vast wealth. Those countries are, you know, incredibly wealthy. And they put out money, they invest money, et cetera, et cetera. They have tremendous oil wealth. So I knew a lot of them before, but I got to know them very well during the first term, and really well, you know, now, but I got to know them very well during the first term. Qatar, as an example, the Emir, who's a fantastic man. Tamim, he's a really fantastic person. And, you know, he's in the middle of a very tough little area because he's sort of surrounded by every little problem. And he has to play it close to the vest a little bit. He has to. Anybody would. Anybody that's smart, and he's very smart. The king of Saudi Arabia has done unbelievable. Now you have the king, and then you have the son who is, and the king is fantastic. He's got a son who is phenomenal, who you know a little
MBS.
bit, Mohammed. And Mohammed's going to be a great leader for many years. And then you have UAE, and he's incredible. They're all incredible people, but sometimes people don't realize that, and they really helped us a lot. Qatar's the one that's most, you know, vulnerable in that sense because it was right next to Iran, but they had great courage. And the bottom line is we got it done, and we did something that nobody thought was possible. We created, you know, it's peace in the Middle East, and I think we're going to get Russia done. I think that'll be, it's not easy. I thought that would have been the easiest one. I have a good relationship with President Putin. I've always had. Don't forget, he had to go through the Russia hoax. That made it very difficult for us in terms of trade or other things. That hoax was just a disgrace. So now we have the war. The first time we had that, and now we have the war. But there's a great potential for trade there. And I hope that we're going to be successful. Ukraine has been very brave.
Well, you came at the peace deal with the Qataris as a business person. You were a business person before the commander-in-chief. So is that the case you made for the Qataris to explain it to Hamas? Think prosperity, think peace. Think riches, business.
You know, I don't have to make too much of a case because they're very smart people. And frankly, if Iran stayed strong, you know, like as a military threat, I wouldn't have even asked them. There's nothing, you know, it's right, they're neighbors, right? They're right next to you. You literally would walk into one or the other. So it was really the decimation of Iran that got us there. Without that, we couldn't have gone to the next step. And then we went to the next step, and now we have a deal. And I think it's a deal that catches on. It's a deal that's respected by everybody. We had Arab countries, Muslim countries. We had everybody. Israel approved this deal. Bibi was very brave. Bibi was a great warrior.
And yet, as soon as you left, Hamas executed 7 people, and then they went on to execute 30 more.
Yeah.
Do you believe they really will disarm?
Well, they promised they would. They said they would. It's down that they would. Now, they said they were gang members, et cetera, you know. But these are very violent people. This is a very violent part of the world. Nobody's seen violence like this. If we have to, we'll disarm
The
them.
U.S.?
Well, whether it's me or the U.S. or it's, a proxy, could be Israel, with our backing. We won't have boots on the ground. There's no reason to.
In the past, you've said Gaza could be beautiful, it could be developed, and
Yeah.
you said you wanted to develop it.
Well,
Do you
not
have
me
plans
develop,
for
no,
that?
Not me as an individual.
The U.S.?
I liked it as like Freedom Place. You call it Freedom Place, and we would get all of the people that live there into decent homes throughout the region. If you look, Egypt has a lot of land. Jordan has a lot of land, right next door. A lot of countries have a lot of land. So I had an initial vision that we would get them. Look at Gaza. I mean, there's nothing standing. The whole thing it's all rubble. So it's not too hard to top that. And we'd build houses and would be paid for by the wealth of the wealthiest countries are there. Although, if we win the tariff case, which hopefully we will, it's vital to the interests of our country, we're the wealthiest country there is. If we don't, we'll be struggling for years to come. I've ended, of the 8 wars that we just mentioned, 5 of them have been ended because of tariffs. The threat of tariffs, as an example, kept India and Pakistan, 2 nuclear nations, from going at it. They were going at it. 7 planes were shot down. That's a lot. And they were going at it, and that could have been a nuclear war. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan actually just said President Trump saved millions of lives by him getting that. And I said to India and Pakistan pretty much the same thing. I said, look, if you're going to fight each other, I'm not going to do business with you. We're going to put on a 200% tariff, which will make it impossible for you to deal, and we're not going to do business. No, no, no. They said, no, no. And after 24 hours, I settled the war because I settled it through trade.
I want to get back to that because I want to talk a little about your backup plan should that not go your way. But just to close the loop here, so are there plans for the U.S. or for yourself to help develop Gaza?
We are going to have a board of peace. You heard about it. And they've asked me to be the chairman. This is what I needed. But it's very important that to me, peace in the Middle East is a big thing. I've heard the term all my life, peace in the Middle East. For 3,000 years, it hasn't happened.
When you spoke to Vladimir Putin, did you tell him that you were considering sending Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine? Are you still seriously considering that?
Well, I've been asked by Ukraine if they could have Tomahawks, and I'm looking at it. I spoke with Vladimir Putin about it. Not that he would be thrilled. It's a violent, vicious weapon. But we have to remember one thing. We need them for ourselves, too. We can't give all of our weapons to Ukraine. We just can't do that. And I've been very good to President Zelensky and to Ukraine, but we can't give, if we're going to be short, I don't want to do that. I can't jeopardize the United States.
Did you get any sense from Putin that he would be willing or open to the idea of ending this war without taking significant property from Ukraine?
Well, he's going to take something. I mean, they fought, and he has a lot of property. I mean, he's won certain property. If you say that, he's won certain property. We're the only nation that goes in and wins a war and then leaves, like we did under President Bush in the Middle East. We go in, we blast the hell out of everybody, destroy the place, and then we leave, Remember, I used to say, keep the oil. But I really didn't say, I said 2 things. I said, don't go in. But then they went in. And I said, well, don't go in, but if you're going to go in, keep the oil. But we didn't keep the oil. What do? We go in, we blast it to pieces, and then we leave, Doesn't make sense, never made sense.
Is there a timeline to get Hamas to disarm, in your mind?
not a timeline, not a hard line, but we're going to see how it all works out. They've lived there for a long time. They're very violent. As you understand, you've been covering it for a long time. But we're going to find out. Don't forget, 50,000 of them have been killed, okay? Mm-hmm. So they killed 1,200 people in horrible, the October 7th attack. It was an attack. They killed 1,200, but Israel can say that we killed 50,000. And so you'd say it's a whole new set of people, and it is. I mean, you know, they get replaced by other people, young people, but we're going to find out. So it's not a hard timeline, but it's a line in my own mind. And at a certain point, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then we'll have to do it for them.
Do you expect an expansion of the Abraham Accords?
I do, almost soon. I don't want to use the word immediate, but soon. The Abraham Accords are a miracle in a way. And the 4 countries that went in initially, including UAE, highly respected, big and highly respected, they stayed in, and they're doing incredibly well. I mean, they're basically trading with Israel and have access and everything else. I mean, it's good for everybody. I hope to see Saudi Arabia go in, and I hope to see others go in. I think when Saudi Arabia goes in, everybody goes in, highly respected. And the Crown Prince, who's also the Prime Minister and the King in waiting, his father's such a wonderful man. He's still healthy, and he's still very sharp. But yeah, I think that they're going to all go in very soon.